Hi, I'm Fox Fisher. Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Very warm welcome to you to the Sarah O'Connell Show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Sarah. It's really wonderful to be here. It's great to meet you finally.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but it's great to have you on this show. So, to start with, you are an artist, a filmmaker, and a campaigner, but you first came to the public's attention on a Channel 4 show. Can you tell us about how you got involved with that?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it feels like yesterday, but it actually was about 5 years ago. It was 2011 that I was in a mainstream documentary on Channel 4. It's called My Transsexual Summer. It was a 4-part series, and it was the first time that a channel had really gone for like a really big budget show about trans people. And I think they had it pegged as like something to kind of similar to Big Brother, but with a trans focus. And I got involved because I was at the start of my transition. I was quite vulnerable, I suppose. I had done a media degree, so I was kind of aware of what production companies were like. But I realized that I was coming out into a world where people didn't fully understand what it was to be trans. And I thought, oh my God, this is so frustrating. It's so annoying. So I saw the opportunity with this TV company, and I thought, well, it's quite boring just coming out once. Not just, no, sorry, I meant it's boring coming out multiple times. You know, it'd be better just to come out once and just let people, you know, my school friends or whatever, see that. And hopefully, and I thought it might help people to understand better, you know, just people around me. So my parents weren't that supportive. My dad was pretty supportive, but my mum really, really didn't get it at the time. And it was very frustrating. And I felt like I was losing a lot of people around me. So I didn't really have anything to lose, actually. At the point of the start of my transition, my medical transition, you know, it was do or die, basically. And with the show, I just thought, I might as well just do this because, you know, if I don't have a voice here, then I suppose I have to leave it to someone else. And you know, maybe I should just step it up and go for it. And as a consequence, Sarah, I didn't really have a brilliant time with it. I mean, when I saw the edit, when it came out, I felt like they missed an opportunity because I'd started my testosterone during the filming, and they could have, for example, filmed, you know, or had me like do a photograph every day or show how my voice was changing. But, and you know, they really went into that, and they were also trying to minimize things quite a lot. So I actually define as non-binary, and back in the day, I used the term genderqueer, and I was trying to talk about that on camera for the documentary, and they said, "Look, we're going to stop you there. The audience is not going to understand that at all. You know, just try and simplify things." Just like how I had to for when I was trying to get treatment on the NHS. You know, I was like using all the tropes possible. You know, I'm a man. I was born in the wrong body. You know, just so that I could access treatment quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
But as it turned out, the NHS didn't really help me. I ended up having to go private for my testosterone prescription, which my GP honoured, which was great. And then for my top surgery, same thing happened. I kind of crowdfunded half of it because the show had just come out. And the other half I put onto a credit card, and I just went for it. It was the best money I ever spent. You know, so thank you, NHS, but you know, it didn't really help so much.
So how do you sort of feel your life has changed since you've been on the show?
So, having done the show, you know, when I was doing the show, at the end of it, the production team pulled us aside and they said, "Look, you better change your Facebook. You better change, you know, certain social media that you have because your life is going to be very, very different after this show comes out." And I just kind of laughed at them. I just thought, that's ridiculous. It's just a show. Nobody watches television anymore. I don't even own a TV. Who's going to care about this? Whatever. So I had no idea that it was going to really be like a big talking point and start a dialogue with the nation like that. And I think now actually that program is completely outdated. And you know, there's stuff that we said and stuff that we did and the ways that they edited that I just don't think would have happened if it was made today. But it did give me this massive platform. Where I kind of went from having like 50 Twitter followers to having, you know, 6,000 Twitter followers.
That's worth it in itself.
Totally, yeah, exactly. So I was like, right, I've got this platform. I feel really bad about this edit. What am I going to do about it? So it was that winter when, I don't know if you remember this, but Richard Littlejohn had written that shitty article about Lucy Meadows.
Do you remember? Yes.
Yeah, and then all the press, there was a big frenzy with the press, and Lucy Meadows ended up killing herself. And it was hearing about that I just thought, my God, this is so ridiculous. This has got to stop. So we're going to start taking this into our own hands. We're going to stop relying on other people to tell our stories, and we're going to just cut out the middlemen and make stories ourselves. So that was the birth of My Generation, which is just the name for like an ongoing film project where we started just looking around us. So I think the first film we made was about a guy called Ruben, who's 19. Now he's 23. He's just turned 23, can you believe? But yeah, he was 19, and he's born on the same day as me as well. And I just felt so many parallels and so many comparisons. But it was like looking at somebody, like, I don't know, it's like a parallel universe. It's like if I had known I was trans when I was younger, and if I had the support that I needed, then I would be Ruben, you know. And I just
this is what could have happened.
Exactly, yeah, it was so cool. So it was wonderful to make a film about Ruben and just see him as this kind of, you know, things weren't perfect in his life, but he was heading in the right direction, and he was just such a cool guy. I just thought he was a really wonderful example of a teenager that was just dealing with what they needed to deal with and getting on with life. And I think that for all these films that we've made, and you know, we've made 50+ films now, which is just so incredible about people, but also about events that have gone on in the. I guess when we look back on this time, we'll see certain events that really stand out, that kind of just show progress in some ways. And I think for me, it was really exciting to be there for the first Stonewall meeting. You know, when like the 50 trans activists that were first consulted about things, I was there with my camera. And Trans Pride as well. I filmed every year of Trans Pride, and I helped to set that up, and that felt really powerful too. So there's been some really great moments, and now I'm addicted to filmmaking. I can't stop, Sarah. It's unbelievable.
Where can people go to watch all of these films? My Generation, where does that live? Is it on YouTube? Is it on your website? Where can people?
For sure. So if people would like to check out the My Generation stuff that we do, there's various places you can go. One is we've got mygeneration.com, so you should be able to find stuff through that website. We also have a YouTube, so it's YouTube.com/mygeneration. We've got a Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/mygeneration. We've got a Snapchat, so if you search for My Generation on Snapchat, you'll find a different person taking over the Snapchat every single day. And we've only set that up about 3 weeks ago, and we're doing really, really well. And we've had people from Australia talking, and people from Germany, and all sorts of places. So if anybody wants to get involved with that, then do. Because I just think it's such a cool way, because I told you I was addicted to filmmaking. I get contacted by people all over the world, and now instead of me being like, damn, I can't come and visit you because I can't afford the plane ticket, I can say, right, you know, if you want to do the Snapchat, then at least the world can know about you and what you're doing. And you know, it's just a wonderful way to connect with people. And I think we're so lucky with what's around us, because like I'm a bit older, so I remember the times before the internet, and you know, and when we still.
It's a bit different then, wasn't it?
It's so different, Sarah, isn't it? And like I'm so appreciative of the fact that we could just, you know, find all these different ways to communicate with each other and share information and move things forward and start petitions and, you know, really rally together and
yeah, it really is a sort of strong and supportive community, isn't it?
It is. It feels like it, you know, and we're such a varied community. I know that we're not always going to get along, and we've always got different focuses. And I think particularly when you're trying to assess your own transition, for me, that was quite a dark time, and I was really kind of dealing with a lot of different issues. And you know, you have to sort yourself out before you can help other people as well. And everything just happens so quickly. And I think that there is a really big burnout rate in our communities here, and I think that's something important to talk about.
Absolutely. Now, you're also the patron of the LGBT Switchboard. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Sure, yeah. I'm patron for quite a few different charities. One of them is the LGBT Switchboard. They contacted me a couple of years ago, and I think Tom Daly's a patron as well, and Mark Gatiss, he's such a great actor, comedian as well. It's a great honor. I mean, it's really nice to be part of it, and so it's just involved kind of a bit of, I guess, going to events, talking to people, talking about the charity, retweeting stuff when they tweet me about things. You know, I mean, it's a life-saving phone line, and I'm really, really proud to be a supporter of it. It's also been around for over 40 years, which is, you know, phenomenal. I reckon when it first started, it must have been completely unique and must have really, really saved lives then too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to being a filmmaker, having made over 50 films, being a patron of lots of different things, you also co-created Trans Pride in 2013. How did that come about, and can you tell us a bit about it? I've been to the event; it's fantastic.
Oh, great. Oh, Sarah, did you go to the event this year?
I did, yeah. It was amazing weather too.
It was. It was. I think we've only had it rain once. I think actually, maybe that was the first year, and it only rained for a short amount of time. So Trans Pride was set up by myself and a core. I'd say there's about 5 other people of the core committee, and we set it up in 2013, and it was in a response to. We always used to meet up as a community at Trans Day of Remembrance, which is coming up quite soon, and. Trans Day Remembrance is obviously really super necessary because it's really important for us to acknowledge, those who haven't made it, who've been murdered. But it's a really depressing event as well. Really, everybody always leaves feeling a bit down, a bit low vibration. And I thought, wow, there's got to be kind of the opposite of this in some way where we can celebrate being who we are. So it seemed like a no-brainer to be able to set up something like Trans Pride. And I think that somebody else led with this, and then they ended up having to deal with their own transition, and they moved to Bristol possibly. So we ended up picking it up at that point. So at the time that we picked it up for the first year, I think we had about 3 or 4 months to go until the actual event. So we threw ourselves into it, and we had a lot of help from the local council to help put it on. And miraculously, we made it happen, and it went without a hitch. So we were really, really surprised that we were able to do this. I made a lot of support from people. And we did I think a quick fundraiser, and we managed to put on the event for a few thousand, and I think a few thousand turned up to this event as well. So we had quite a few unique visitors. The first year we didn't have a march or anything, so we had a Friday night film night, we had a Saturday main event with a park event that lasted about 6 hours. We had a picnic on a Sunday, and it had a really good feel-good vibe. So it was wonderful. Again, I documented it on My Generation. If you want to check out the film, it's there. I think the filmmaking skills are pretty bad because it was a few years ago, but it's a documentation of the event nonetheless. So building on that, each year we've tried to kind of cater for the fact that we're really increasing in size a huge amount. I mean, I don't know what the statistic is, but I mean, I would say we've almost doubled every year.
That's definitely a queue for the pizza.
Yeah, definitely a queue for the pizza and so on, and the toilets and everything,
Yeah.
So we've had to change parks 3 times as well. So we were in the first park for the first 2 years. Last year we had a bigger park that was kind of, it was halfway down the road, so it was even a much shorter march than we normally do. So it was the world's shortest march, probably about 2 minutes. And this year we expanded to a much larger park that I think we're going to be able to stay in for a few more years. I think, and we behaved ourselves as well this year, so hopefully they'll invite us back to be able to use that space.
Absolutely, it was a really good atmosphere too. There's lots of families there, and just people relaxing and enjoying the you could see the sea, and it was fantastic weather. There was really good entertainment there, and lots of people to speak to, and different workshops and stuff going on. It was really good.
That's right, a really good heartfelt event, and also the march leading up to it. I don't know if you made it to the march, but that was really special as well. And I think next year we're going to try and get Carnival Collective, with some people with some drums and stuff, because it felt a bit quiet in some ways, although we were trying to shout, we're here, we're queer, and so on. But, I think a few drums...
It was still very early. People aren't that noisy.
I know. It takes a while for us to warm up. But yeah, it is...
In the evening, perhaps at 10 o'clock after people have been drinking a bit. And...
That's a really good idea, Sarah, yeah. Reclaim the night, we'll do something different then.
They'll just happen organically.
That would be cool. I mean... But for the Trans Pride event, it stayed pretty much the same since we first started, like the format. So the Friday night we do a film night. We've added a few arts events onto the Wednesday, Thursday that happens before then. So it's almost becoming like a week of Trans Pride events, which is really cool. The Saturday is always the main event. And this year we had quite a few options in the evening. We had a gig that you could go to, and followed by a club night afterwards. I think people were arranging other stuff as well. It's just a great event, and not just this event, but people meet here, and then they go off and do other stuff too. So it's a great place to meet people from that you've been chatting to online. I'm sure you met a bunch of people that you've been talking to.
I think I saw about 30 people that I knew.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my god, it's you! And then you just, it's so cool because it feels like a big family kind of event, and the feel good factor is something that I can't even really explain with words, but it's something that I felt every time we put it on, and every time it happens. it's this really elated feeling where you feel like something really special is happening. And I'd love for people to come along and feel that as well, because, you know, I'm sure everybody felt like that.
Yeah, it's like a big sort of family reunion in a way, isn't it?
It is, definitely. And, you know, if anybody wants to get involved as well, because we are a core committee and we are expanding massively. And because we talked about, you know, the burnout rate is huge, we definitely need a lot of support, and not just people who are volunteering on the day. Obviously, it's great to offer a few hours to, you know, a litter pick in the park, or to, you know, let people into the park and so on. But actually be able to come to meetings or taking control of certain aspects of it. Let's say you're a graphic designer. Why don't you come and do some graphic design for Trans Pride? You know, it's good for the portfolio and it's really good for us as well. And we really like to have trans people first and foremost, but obviously we're open to allies as well.
Absolutely. So, you know, if Steven Spielberg wants to make something for it, you wouldn't turn him down.
That's right.
So I've been invited to take part in a panel at Transforming Cinema in Sheffield, and you're going to be there as well. Can you tell me what you're going to be up to?
That's right. Yes. So it's Eden Films, and it's up in Sheffield. They're doing really great work. They're a really cool team. And I was there a few months ago doing a filmmaking workshop, which was really great. They kind of spurned people off. I think after that, people split into groups and they've been making their own separate films. I've also been judging the films. Have you been a judge as well, Sarah, for this event?
No, I haven't before this.
Oh, you haven't?
The first time I've been involved with it, but yeah. So they've invited me to be part of the Transforming Cinema panel on the Saturday evening.
The panel on the Saturday, cool. So, so I'm going to be doing another filmmaking workshop, I think, during the day on the Saturday, which will be quite similar to the one that I did before, and we'll probably end it with maybe like a Facebook Live video or something like that. I've also been helping to judge the event, and I'm going to be showing a few of my Generation films there as well, which I haven't judged. Obviously, I'm just kind of giving them some films to show, which are more comedy based and more fictional as well, because that's kind of where I'm kind of heading towards, I suppose, with the My Generation stuff. I think they're a really good bunch, actually. I think Sheffield does incredible things in general. I think, you know, the Sheffield Documentary Film Festival, although this isn't associated with it yet, I think that it really does go hand in hand. I think both are really fantastic events. So, yeah, I think we should look forward to seeing more from this crew of people. And I think they are LGBT, but they're not necessarily trans. And I think that it's really important to connect to people who are outside of our community and work with them in order to make cool stuff like this happen. So I'm really grateful for them, you know, even caring enough to submit an application and get funding for this. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah, so yeah, I look forward to seeing you, Sarah, on the Saturday. It'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. There's a fantastic lineup, and I've had some lovely messages just from people attending the event. They're really looking forward to it too. And
oh, that's really cool. Nice. Yeah.
So what you've got loads that you're working on simultaneously. Can you give us any idea what you might be working on next?
For sure, yeah, Sarah. Honestly, it's quite overwhelming because I'm not just a one-man band at the moment. Actually, I've teamed up with my partner Al, who's my partner in love, but also in work. And so they've been helping to kind of push things forward a little bit. So they've been helping with the Snapchat and so on. At the moment, this year we went to Russia to film, and that was pretty full on, to be honest. And I think that's why it's taken so long to actually get the edit done. It was about 6 weeks ago we went, and we went for about a week.
Whereabouts did you go? Was it Moscow?
It was St. Petersburg, actually, which is meant to be the more liberal of the two. But even then, it still felt very oppressive in some ways, because I'm just not used to people not giving you eye contact and not smiling. I mean, it's just such a basic thing in this Western world, but I think we've been trained to do that. So apparently if you smile, the propaganda was that you're insane. So people generally don't smile there. And it was hard to get used to stuff like that. And it was really interesting chatting to members of the trans community there. And there is a vibrant trans community out there. It's just buried a bit deeper. But you know, it is there nonetheless. And talking to people, trying to work out why things are a certain way. And it seems to me, from talking to these people, that it's just generations and generations of oppression in many ways. People being forced into boxes, don't stand out, you know, it just seems like people aren't encouraged to be individuals in a kind of communist regime. And I think that although the Iron Curtain has fallen, I think there's still residue from that that's very, very apparent. And it seems that transphobia can come in the form of bureaucracy out there. It seems like, if there are certain places, for example, that you can have free speech. And there was a 13-day Pride Festival that an organization called Coming Out wanted to put on. And they applied for every one of the 13 days to have a space, to be able to do this free speech, to be able to talk about what they're doing. And they were denied. Each day, the government got back and said, well, on this day, there's wives for Putin. On this day, it's family first talking. And like, it's bullshit. They went to the event, they went to the park during that time, and nobody was there. And they sued them. So that they're getting used to suing people, and they won as well. So, you just have to really, really stand up for yourself. And that was interesting to realize that it's just a whole other level of oppression and transphobia that they're dealing with right now.
Absolutely, and I think as well, we've still got certainly a long way to go. I think certain parts of the world are even further behind.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's what's been interesting this year. So I've been doing a lot more international kind of work. So I at the beginning of this year, I got involved with an organization called Transgender Europe, TGEU for short, and they're based in Berlin. But they look after Europe and beyond. So they look after organizations and kind of help them to advocate for, advocate if they need to, change policies, anything they need, basically. So they're kind of the biggest organization you've never heard of. And they've also, or that I'd never heard of anyway, and they're also the ones to compile the list that we use every year for Transgender Day of Remembrance. So they put that together. So yeah, they do really, really important work, and so I've been working with them to make 5 short films. We've released 2, we've got 3 more to go, and through that, I've worked with a few other organizations called IGLIO, which is the International Lesbian, Gay, Transgender Global Youth Alliance. So they do a lot of incredible work all around the world, and they're kind of like the child organization, or the sibling to ILGA, which is like the International Lesbian, Gay, Transgender Association, which is also global. So it's been great chatting to people that are really doing great work behind the scenes, like people that we might not. I think that in trans world, there's like trans celebrity, and then there's like trans policymakers, and I think that some people have one foot in both worlds. Some people have 2 feet in the celebrity world or whatever. But we're all kind of we're doing different things, and so I've been meeting a lot of people this year that have been completely groundbreaking, that may never receive an award, may never be acknowledged for the work they do, but they're doing incredible work. So it's been such an honor to meet these people. So yeah, lots of projects like that on the way. As a response to my friend, the loving mom and her daughter that have been separated this year, I set up a petition, and what was my point? Oh yeah, that I set up Trans Youth Week on my generation, and that was just kind of a last minute thing. And like, I'm so busy as it is, but I just thought, my God, I've got to do this because, it's just like a positive aspect. And I'm sitting on loads and loads of old footage, and I've been in contact with mermaids. I've been going to mermaids to film over the past few years on their invitation. And it was always footage that was intended for fundraising purposes for mermaids. They could kind of send it to people privately. But we've been in chats now about who wants their face masked out, and the potential of releasing this as a video over the next few days. So that'll be really nice as well, because just having young people talk about their experiences is very, very helpful. So yeah, that's on the go. Plus, sorry, one more. I've been working with Juno Roche through Clinic Q to make a film about their services, which are really fantastic as well. So that film's going to be out at the end of this month, I believe, for like an event that they're doing. So I'm just like juggling at the moment. I've got so many things on the go. Plus, I've also got a few personal projects. So when I was in Iceland visiting my partner's parents this year, we decided to make a film called Stealth. That's like a 9 or 10 minute fiction about a farm boy and a farm girl and so on. So it's very, it's beautifully shot, but I just don't know how good the acting is, but we'll have to wait and see.
So you've got lots and lots of stuff going on. It's fantastic, yeah. And I'm in awe of all the stuff you're doing for the community too. Right?
Oh, Sarah, thank you. But I mean, I don't know if you feel the same as me, but like, I felt so lost throughout a lot of my life, and as soon as I was doing a lot of things then too, but like as soon as I started my transition, I was like, oh my God, like this is my focus and this is what I want to work on, and and it's nice to have, you know, I do a lot of things, but it's mostly trans based, and also the kids book as well. So I did a kids book with Sarah Savage, and we just got signed to Sarah Kingsley, Sarah Jessica Kingsley, I think that's the name of the publishers, and they do a lot of really great, I don't know, informational, informative type books, and I'm just applying to do a few other books as well. So watch this space. But I think there might be like a trans teen survival guide that we're going to do, and maybe a couple of other kids books also for like the 5 to 7-year-old market. So yeah, really exciting. But I mean, God, if anyone can do it, I mean, if I can do it, anyone can do it, basically, because I never thought that I would be at this, I don't know, just at this point where I'm kind of like consulting on EastEnders scripts, or like, you know, working with All About Trans to do incredible stuff, and talking to like the Sun newspaper and things. And like, you know, honestly, it's given me real purpose in life. But I just, it could have been such a different story. Like, honestly, I'm just shocked I'm alive, to be honest.
Yeah, I think sort of, you know, having the energy to sort of help other people and bring about change as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but you got to look after yourself first and foremost, and then you can help others.
Absolutely. Now, let's get a bit topical. So, obviously, today we've woken up to news of a new president in the United States.
Oh my God!
I know, right? So, what are your thoughts on what do you think that means for the trans community?
Well, it's really, it is concerning. It's worrying that Trump is in power now. I think we're going to have to be quite vigilant about things. I've never been one to advocate for fear. I don't think we should really focus on the fear aspect, but I think there already has been a knock-on effect. In America, for example, like I've just watched Abby Austin's My Trans American Road movie, which is
very good.
Yeah, have you seen it as well, Sarah? Has it been on Channel 4 now? Has it been out?
Yeah, it's been televised, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, that is, I think it's really nicely done. I think, one, because it's a trans person who's taking you on a journey. And we're often told that you need somebody who has conflicting views about trans people that needs to be the one to explore. And I think that actually being trans isn't up for debate. It's you know, that's
not an opinion, is it?
It's not an opinion.
Gravity.
Exactly.
You don't always need to, like, if you have an apple, you don't need an opposing view to it being an apple. Just
no, it is an apple, and it will fall to the floor. Exactly. So yeah, I think that it's really great to see something that's trans-led like that, where she's gone to America and she's exploring what's going on. And, you know, it was upsetting to see what's happening in this documentary. If anyone hasn't seen it, you should try and check it out. If you don't have access to Channel 4, we'll give you the gist of it. Basically, she goes on a road movie around America and stops off at places like North Carolina, where she talks to a bunch of bigots. And it is a bit depressing at times, but it also raises how ridiculous it is. Like, for example, when she was at a government building and she was talking to this guy for a long time. She's trying to talk to somebody for a while, and she's in there for about an hour. She needed to pee, and she obviously had to use the toilet. So he arranges for her to like sneak into the men's toilet to like use the loo. But it was just like a horrible situation, and I don't know. It just seems so wrong, didn't it? I mean, it's almost, yeah. I don't know. Do you remember that part of it, Sarah?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and so for anyone that doesn't know, in North Carolina at the moment, the governor has signed, it's called the HB2 bill, which essentially discriminates against LGBT people, and more specifically, it's kind of like a bathroom bill. So it's kind of trying to dictate which bathroom you can go into and all that kind of stuff. And so she was sort of tackling that, and, you know, really sort of questioning with people which one is it okay for her to use and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's almost like he didn't force her to use the men's or anything. He was like, you could use either or whatever. And like, yeah, it just seemed how ridiculous it is. You know, it just kind of like showed how crazy it is.
It's a non-issue, and it's never been an issue, but they're trying to make.
They're making it an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is just really bizarre. It just seems like the divide is just getting wider and wider. You know, kind of like the liberal left and the, you know, the kind of, I don't know, the really bizarre conservative right. And I think again, it's really important to just focus on the positive things that are happening. So we might have, the Americans might have Trump as president, but there's still a huge bunch of decent Americans out there, and there's some wonderful people that are working in, with legislation and policies and so on, and you know, hopefully we'll still see progression and change in this world, and it's almost an inevitable thing, in my opinion. I mean, the way that we shouldn't equate the two, but the way that gay issues were 20 years ago, in the press, for example, it was like, oh my God, there's a gay vicar, or there's a gay doctor, and that's just not the case anymore. And it's the same with trans issues. I think we're going to keep seeing progression. We need to keep looking after people. Like, we can't really give up until everybody, is supported, as a trans person, not just the people that have passing privilege, not just the people that are binary, that want to go from A to B, and so on. There's a huge bunch of us that, we don't entirely conform, or we don't entirely want to conform to society's standards. And, maybe the bigger question is about society, and maybe that's what's so threatening about being trans.
Exactly. So finally, where can we find out more about you? Where are you on Twitter and Facebook, and what's your official website?
Thank you, Sarah. So if you'd like to find out more about myself, you can go to foxfisher.com. I'm on the Twitter as TheFoxFisher. I'm on the Instagram as TheFoxFisher as well. Facebook /r/Foxfisher. Yeah, you can just Google me, I guess, and something will come up. If you want to get in touch with me, info@foxfisher.com. I'm always interested to hear about people's stories, or what people are up to. I don't know, like yourself, Sarah, I do a lot of talks and workshops and so on. I've done a lot of filmmaking workshops this year. Before that, it was a lot of panel chats and things. So it's always good to get involved with people. Yeah, and I love hearing about people's stories. So yeah, get in touch.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you've been super busy for taking the time to come on the Sarah O'Connell show today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Best of luck with all the projects you've got ongoing at the moment. I think I'm going to have to set aside a weekend just to catch up on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person at the Transforming Cinema event in Sheffield.
Totally. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there too, Sarah. And thanks a lot for asking me to speak on your show. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope I didn't talk too much and waffle on, but yeah, I guess. Thank you. All right, cool. Well, take it easy. I'll see you next week, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, cool. Bye-bye.